Hi, what's going on guys? It's Almond. Welcome back to another Wizard101 video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the 5 new spells that are going to be coming into Wizard101. Blaze Lifehammer recently got his 5 spells to tease out, and I wanted to give you guys my thoughts as well because his spells are actually insane. This changes so many things, and I really want to talk about it as well. So shout out to Blaze Lifehammer. If you guys haven't checked out the original video, definitely look at it. I'll put it in the description. Check it out. He's a really awesome person and he does really good videos. So yes, definitely go check out his video and his thoughts as well because these are originally his teasers. But let's talk about these spells that got introduced. So we got 3 negative auras and 3 positive auras that he was able to showcase. Now, it didn't cross my mind we were going to get auras, but honestly, there's a lot of things that are catching me by surprise these past couple days with all these new spells that like anything is possible now. With the amount of spells that are being introduced, anybody can get it. Like star schools, moon schools, sun schools, anything. But let's go over the negative spells first, honestly. So when I mean negative spells, I mean the negative auras. We've had negative auras already. If you have certain conditions on certain cards, you're able to turn auras into negative auras or even give people negative auras depending on certain spells. But one of the spells he got was called Starfall. Now what Starfall does is it gives the enemy or the specific target. It's not like an AoE, right? You just choose a specific target and you give them a minus 50% outgoing aura. So it's like a weakness, but it's a weakness for 4 rounds, right? That's like the best way to describe it. And if they have an aura already on them, you basically replace it. So let's say that enemy or that PvP person has like an amplify or like a school aura, you know, like the Azteca ones. You can just replace their aura with a minus 15 aura. Uh, Pretty interesting to see. I know some people can toss out like, is this going to be good in advanced combat? I can see it definitely being good in advanced combat. Right away, my mind just straight goes Montgomery, challenge my Montgomery. But there's other fights as well that you can use this. I can see people using it just so that they don't take damage in certain fights, because obviously we have damage caps and etc. So, you know, it's very possible that we can use these fights or use these cards in certain fights where we're just taking too much damage and you just really need to give them a an aura, right? So it'll be interesting to see and how this evades certain cheats, because I know with advanced combat and with certain boss cheats, you could kind of evade certain cheats by using this, and who knows, right? I'm not too sure how they're going to go about that, and I'm pretty sure eventually we'll get new cheats added to certain bosses where it's like, hey, you cannot cast a negative aura on this person. If you do, you so and so happens. So this does open a new window of cheats coming out in further bosses, right? So it's pretty interesting to see regarding that. But yeah, it's a permanent weakness for 4 rounds, so, or like a temporary weakness, right? And it does have a level cap of 56 on it for advanced combat and above, so you can't use this in 50 PV. Still really amazing spell. Starfall I am looking forward to 100%. The next negative aura that we got was called Pathogen. Pathogen is very interesting. It essentially gives them a infection for 4 rounds. Same thing, these are all auras of course, but it's an infection for 4 rounds. Now this is still going to be good because you are replacing the aura of the enemy, and you can't use this to like cheese certain fights. Like if the person has like an immunity aura, like certain bosses in the past, I could think of one like that's in Mirage. You can't just switch their aura to a you can't get rid of their invincible aura and give them like a negative aura and kill them. It won't work like that. They'll still have their invincibility cheat, so you can't get past certain fights like that. Who knows, they might actually like let it slide on certain fights, but hey, in PvP this could be used to stop heal spammers, but you just gotta time it when to use it, of course. So it'll be interesting, right? I hope that they introduce, maybe this is like pushing it, but I hope that they introduce a spell where you basically hit somebody and you swap auras with them. That would be nice, but I don't know how viable that would be and how broken that would be. But that's a very interesting concept I was thinking about once I saw all these auras. So yeah, Pathogen, pretty good to stop heal spammers or just any heals in certain fights. Very much looking forward to this as well. The next aura we have is Inate. Inate, basically what it does is now you put this on the enemy and they take 20% incoming damage for 4 rounds. Now this is pretty good in certain scenarios where if you can't do, if there's like a limit on how many buffs you can put on the enemy, you can definitely use this on them. Now there's certain things I am kind of thinking about with this, is if you can use this on certain fights in the raid, the current Polaris, right? Because this is a buff that you can stack on the enemy, and I don't know if it's going to disrupt any cheats. So if you are, because with the Aztec, not the Aztec, with the Polaris raid, there's stack overflow, so you can't go amount with certain buffs. So maybe you can stack this on and it can count as another buff and evade that cheat. Who knows? We'll have to look forward to that. But this is still very viable in scenarios where you want to do more damage, and it's additional buff, right? Now that we have auras, or not auras, now that we have bubbles, damage is just going to be increased with bubbles, everything like that. Now that we have like these negative auras, it'll be interesting to see how many buff stackability things people will be able to do. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, and as well as PvP. This is just like an easy way of just switching someone's positive aura and switching it to negative, and you can do more damage to them, right? Especially if it's a dot too, you increase all the dots, and there's so many things you could do with Inate. I'm looking forward to this as well. All these spells are really good. Now let's move on to the positive auras that you can cast on yourself. It'll be interesting to see about that. But the first aura that we can use is Cosmic Charge. Now this is 1 pip. If we look at all the other auras, including the one more that I'll show you afterwards, is that they all cost 0 pips. This is the one that costs 1 pip specifically, and it basically gives you 20% outgoing pierce. Now this is still very good, but I don't know how viable it will be in certain fights. If the enemy has more resist than you pierce, then I can see this being viable, right? It's 20 extra pierce for the next 4 rounds. If you're going to be hitting multiple times in certain fights, it's very viable. But if you already pierce the enemy within the like the pierce cap and stuff like that in advanced content, and this is assuming that you're allowed to aura in that fight, then this aura is not that viable. I rather choose like reinforce or bulwark or something like that. Well, bulwark is going to reduce your damage, but I'd rather just use reinforce at that point. But yeah, I can still see it being useful if you don't have enough pierce to pierce the enemy. At that point, just use a Cosmic Charge. But you got to keep in mind it does use a pip. I'm not too sure how many people are going to be using this in a PvP. I can't say too much about PvP because I'm not too sure about that. But it will be interesting to see, maybe for people who are going to be using all these like new spells that are becoming, like what the spell fusion introduced and all these other spells. I can see maybe people using it just to flip-flop between schools and still have that constant pierce, if you're especially lacking it in another school that you're trained into. I can see it being used for that. But it will be still like, it's still a very interesting card, and the fact that it costs 1 pip is definitely intriguing my mind a little bit. And it is a 66 cap on it, so for advanced content that's like 50. You won't be able to use it on there, but still, like, most of the advanced content that people are going to be looking forward to is above 66. So yeah, it's still going to be used for that type of stuff. So very interesting aura all around. And then the last aura, which I didn't think that they would do this, but I do want to talk about this heavily. We got Stabilize. Stabilize is basically Brace but upgraded. Now I know this is gonna cause a lot of people to be good and bad, for the PvP community especially, because now you can carry like 4 copies of Brace and 4 copies of Stabilize. I don't know what to say about that, but for advanced content, I'm not too sure. I haven't really used like braces and stuff like that, but this is still good for fights that you know you're gonna take a lot of damage. But most of the time, if we have like a support and stuff like that, we're just gonna be using bulwark on our pet, right? It's not, I don't want to talk too much about bulwark and reinforce because I don't want it to, I don't want anything happening to those spells, but let's just focus on Stabilize. It'll still be useful, right? It'll still be useful if you are doing a fight where you aren't rocking a 7-card deck and you need to last longer than 4 rounds, and you really need it, sure, right? And still, it's a minus 25 on yourself. If the enemy doesn't have any type of negative auras in their deck, which this is most likely going to happen in the future, right? This is just like the introduction, right? who knows if any of the enemies that we fight in the new area are gonna have negative auras in their decks and stuff to counteract us. So definitely, maybe it's not as viable to do like round 1 reinforce, round 1 auras. That's usually what everyone does when they're doing like any type of fight, right? Or Scald Incendiate. But in advanced content, it's only 170 and above. So there's only one raid that you can use this in, and that's just the Azteca raid. You can't use this in, or not the Azteca raid, the Polaris raid, sorry. You can't use this in the Azteca raid because there's a stars cheat, and you can't use this in Dragon's Spire. You could use it in the Nightmare dungeon if you really need to, but it's still very, very specific. But it does make it future proof because it is going to be 170 and above. So who knows what type of content that we're going to be getting down the line in the future, especially in the next raid. Who knows, stabilize might be viable, right, for the supports. But overall, these are some insane spells. I'm definitely looking forward to some of these spells for advanced content, and it's gonna be crazy. We're entering this like new era of Wiz where it's just like even the video I posted earlier today, like spell fusion. What? So we got spell fusion, we got new auras. Yeah, I'm looking forward to like this update heavily. I feel like the way that they trickled information was good and everything, but like now that we're like, I feel like we're nearing the end of all the information. Who knows, test round might be next week, but definitely I'm gonna be excited for test round, and I'm gonna have to like definitely move some stuff around when it comes to like college and stuff, and just try to do everything as fast as I can just so I can make so many videos regarding the update, so many things to look forward to. So definitely subscribe, look out for all that content. And like I said, shout out again to Blaze Lifehammer. He was given these teasers, and I am just reacting to them, giving guys my thoughts and opinions. So definitely please, if you don't know who he is and stuff like that, he's definitely a Wiz OG, and check him out in the description down below. Look at his video, look at his thoughts and stuff like that. And yeah, leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff. Join Discord if you guys haven't. I would appreciate that, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.